Hey everyone, it's Brett from Hope to Prosper. I'm up here at top of the world in Laguna. You can see all down below. It's a beautiful 360-degree view. Anyways, quite a hike up here, but I made it. Anyways, today's story is the art of retiring early, and there is an art form, trust me. Okay, thanks for coming along. I hope you'll enjoy it. I want to talk today about the art of retiring early. And I want to provide an overview of the process. And, you know, it is really an art. There's some science to it, but there's also some art to it. So this is going to be a summary video. I'll let you know up front. And there's not going to be tons of detail, but it's going to cover the entire subject, and it's going to be comprehensive. We got a lot of ground to cover. And I hope you hang out with me through the whole video because I think you'll get a lot out of it, and I think it will help you quite a bit. So first, let's start with a disclaimer. I'm not an investment advisor. I'm not a tax advisor. I'm not a financial planner or a CPA or anything else. I'm not an expert at anything except computers, to be honest. But here's what I have to offer you. I've been investing for over 40 years, or almost 40 years, since 1985. I've managed all my own investments all this time and made pretty good things. Saved up tons of money, and I actually retired. And so I have almost a year's worth of retirement experience. And you know, there's a lot of people on YouTube, they're handing out retirement advice. They're not even retired. You know, they might be planners and stuff. They might know stuff, but till you've been awake at 3 a.m. with that pit in your stomach, wondering what's going to happen, yeah, you don't really know. So anyways, so let's move on from there. That's what I have for you. The first thing I want to talk about was, man, I was a dismal failure at early retirement planning. And I learned almost everything I learned the hard way. School of hard knocks. I got out there, just jumped in, didn't have a plan, and that didn't work out too well. So I'm hoping to help you guys avoid some of the mistakes I made. And if you're not already there, then hopefully you won't take that path. You'll take a better path that I'm about to show you. But also, if you're out there and you're spinning your gears, or you're unsure of how you're going to proceed, and trust me, I've definitely been there, I think this will help you a lot. So whether you're planning, or whether you're already retired, or whether you're ways off, I think these things will help you out quite a bit. So the good news is, man, I had the guts to retire, and I'm so glad I did it. I pulled the trigger. And if you're one of those people who are sitting on the fence, should I retire? Should I not retire? Can I retire? Once again, I hope this video helps you out. That's what I would really like to do, is help people. So I had a lot of reasons to hold off and not retire and work longer. I wasn't at my target age. I wasn't at my target savings, so I wasn't 60. I didn't have my $1 million put away. I could have easily held off, but I'm glad I didn't. I made the hard decision. I called it a career. I pulled the trigger, pulled the plug, done. And now that I'm looking back, man, that was the right decision. So even though I was out there ahead of a plan, didn't have a plan, which I don't recommend, it was still the right thing for me. I didn't let fear hold me back from retiring. And I don't want you guys to let fear hold you back from retirement. I want you to make those types of decisions based on an accurate plan and real numbers, and something that you could really achieve, and not just seat of the pants decisions like I made. Don't do that. All right, so if you want to have a happy and a successful retirement, there's some definite steps you should consider taking to ensure your success, and then also to lessen your fear and your chance of failure. Let's start with step one. Let's just start at the beginning, saving up. So I know this is going to be irrelevant to some of you, but just bear with me. So if at all possible, start saving young. If there's anybody listening to this that's younger, 20s, 30s, whatever, man, the earlier you start saving, the better. The math just works. Your money doubles and doubles and doubles. And the longer time you got and the higher your interest rate, the more times it doubles. And so it's not just 10 or 20% more. It could be 2, 4, 8, or 16 times more. So starting early, man, that's step one. If you could do that, do that. And no matter where you're at in your journey, if your company offers a 401k and they offer matching, but you got to invest at least enough to get the matching. If you leave that money on the table, man, I feel bad. I would feel bad for you to let your company's 5% matching go back into their bank account instead of yours. So then, say you're my age or ish, you're a Gen Xer, you're a late boomer. There are catch-up provisions, so you can catch up. So if you're getting up there near there, and you realize, okay, you're way short, there are catch-up provisions. You could save more in your 401k. You could save more in your IRA. You could save more in your Roth. And so I used the catch-up provisions, even though I was in pretty good shape, and it helped me a lot. So if you're trying to maximize your 401k or your IRA or your Roth, use the catch-up provisions. If you're over 50, go for it, and it'll be a big help to you later on. I guarantee it. So as far as saving up, it starts with a savings rate, and in my opinion, the minimum, unless you're in dire straits, the minimum should be 10% of your net income. I don't care if you have to sell a car. I don't care if you have to move to a cheaper rent. If you're not saving 10% of your net income, man, your chances of really being successful as a saver and an investor are pretty slim. And look, I've been there, right? I'm a single income earner, and I raised a family of 4 on one income. I started out only saving 5%, maybe a little less. That's all I could afford. But I worked up to 10. And if you really want to be successful at the saving and investing game, you probably want to save around 20%. In the Millionaire Next Door, in the survey of all the millionaires, they were saving about 20%. So if you want to become a millionaire, 20% is my recommendation. 20% of your net. And then here's another important thing when you're saving up. You need to save in both retirement and non-retirement accounts. And this is really important. I covered it in a whole video. I'll put a link down below why you need to do this. But short story, cut to the chase. If you're going to retire early, you're not going to be able to get to your retirement accounts, right? And that's what happened to me. I retired at 58. Man, I had to go till I was 59 and a half till I could actually just break into those. So IRAs. So you definitely need some money saved in retirement accounts and some money saved in non-retirement accounts. I know it's really attractive to get the tax benefit or get the Roth and put everything into retirement accounts. I think it's a mistake. When you have regular brokerage accounts, they are taxed better than your regular IRA or 401k, and you might need them for something, putting a roof on a house, whatever. So save in both retirement and non-retirement accounts. Super important. And then after you have these investments, watch and manage them to stay on track. You don't have to watch them daily. You don't even have to watch them quarterly. Just maybe at least once a year, depending on how old you are, take an overview. How are they doing? Are they matching the market? Are you underperforming? Do you have the right mix? So you kind of have to watch and manage your savings so that you don't get blindsided on that. And after all that, when you're saving up money, you project out how much money you're going to need to retire. This isn't that difficult, right? Basically, you're going to need somewhere between 75 and 80% of your retirement income, of your working income in retirement. So say you make $100,000 now. We'll use easy math. In retirement, you're going to need at least 75, right? And so you need to project out how much money you're going to need to generate $75,000 of income. It's not that hard. You could use a 4 or 5% rule. Let's just do a simple 5% rule. That's what I'm using. Just times it times 20, right? You need $75,000. You times it by 20. That's gonna be like 1.5 mil. Yeah. So easy peasy. And by the way, that also is, in addition to having those investments, you have Social Security, you might have a pension, you might have rental income, you might have side work. So add that all in. You don't need 1.5 million to get 75 if you're going to get 40 from Social Security. Just keep that in mind. Okay. And then the last thing about saving up, and I'll just say this, I learned this from my dad: aim high and save extra if you can. Aim higher. One of the disappointing things for me was I jumped into retirement thinking, I'm going to live on 75% of my working income, and that didn't happen. What happened was I needed to fix up my house, and I wanted to retire a lot. So my burn rate's been higher. It's not catastrophic. It's not going to throw me off, but just keep in mind, aim higher if you can. All right, let's talk about the next thing, retirement purpose. You know, when you're in high school, you're trying to figure out what you want to be when you grow up. And then when you're in a career, you're trying to figure out where you're going to be in your career. And then when you retire, you want to know, what are you going to do when you retire? That's the first question. What are you going to do? What are you going to do all day? How are you going to fill your days? And more importantly, what do you want to accomplish in your retirement? You know, everybody thinks they're going to jet off to Europe, then they're going to play some golf, and they're going to lay on a beach and drink a Mai Tai. Yeah, it gets pretty boring after a year. You know, you kind of need a retirement purpose. What do you plan to accomplish with your life? What's the precious remaining part of your life? What are you going to do? What do you want to do? So I had a really stressful and demanding job. I was literally on call 7x24 for like 25 years. And my phone just never stopped ringing some days at work. And I didn't get to go home if the network was down. So what I wanted was a more peaceful and relaxing life. I wanted something more cerebral. I wanted to do things that were more creative. I had a very analytical job in the computer industry. So those are the first thing I wanted for my retirement, was just a more peaceful and relaxing life. And I have that now. I love it. It's way better now. I don't miss all the stress, I can tell you. I also wanted to travel and go on adventures that I couldn't do while I was working. You know, I've talked about it on here. You could see I'm traveling or at least adventuring in every one of my videos. I'm not sitting at my desk at home. Well, I am now. Anyways, so that was my next goal, was I wanted to travel adventure. And then I wanted to do the little things, you know, like walk to breakfast with my wife and look at the ocean. You know, little things, watch the sunsets. And then my last goal was to give something back to the world. You know, help people in some ways. You know, I might start a nonprofit. I'm trying to create videos that I think will help people. There's a number of things. So those are my retirement purposes. So what's your purpose? You know, you have to choose a purpose. They always say you have to retire to something and not from something. I think if you don't have this purpose or you skip a step, you might end up with long days and an empty feeling in your stomach. You know, are you going to watch daytime TV or game shows or something? Or are you just going to golf every day? I don't know. My recommendation is that you think about a retirement purpose, if possible, before you retire, so that you have something good to retire to, and you feel like your retirement is going to be a useful part of your life, where you really do something and not just lay around relaxing. Let's go to the next step, financial planning. And this is kind of a hard one. Some people might want to tune out right here, but please don't. I think it's important to just do this. So once again, I'm going to say I started my planning process a couple months after I retired. And now I don't recommend that. Don't be like me. It cost me a ton of sleep, grief, stress, all for nothing. I could have just had a nice, easy plan and didn't have to be perfect. And I could have just went into retirement in such a better position. So, you know, later on, I just figured out how much I could withdraw, and boom, all of a sudden, it answered all my questions, and my retirement became so much better. But if you have a choice, start your retirement planning about a year before you plan to retire. I didn't have a choice. I got laid off, and so I didn't have the plan until later, but I don't recommend that for you. If you know what your date's going to be, and you're not thrust into retirement, start your planning about a year ahead. Trust me, you'll thank me later. So I just figured out I could just withdraw 5%, and then I was like, okay, pull the trigger. And you know, my investments have been yielding about 10% over the last, I don't know, couple decades, 9.5% to 10. So I figured, yeah, earn 10%, take out 5, no brainer, right? Yeah, it's not that simple. So I didn't take into account like the sequence of return risks. Like if you have a couple big loss years early in your retirement, it could really derail you. And I didn't have a plan for that. And I didn't understand all the tax ramifications. You take money out, you're paying capital gains taxes in your regular accounts. But when you start taking money out of your 401k, then you're paying like income type taxes. So you're going to pay a lot more taxes than you might think. I live in California, so I pay taxes on top of taxes. And I didn't have a plan to deal with large market corrections, right? So like back in the pandemic, the market just dropped 30%. It's lost a couple $100,000 in a month. So now I have plans and conditions to deal with those. It's not 100% mitigation, but at least I can very much lessen the impact. So financial planning is critical, and you need to plan and you need to deal with it. So what I did was I was able to create a plan after the fact, and this is what really changed my retirement. Like, it really turned the corner. And what I did was I used there's lots of free and paid resources to help you plan your retirement. So I used F.I.Calc, and I started out using like my Vanguard calculator. I figured out very quickly that was just way too simple. Didn't count, didn't calculate all kinds of things. And so then I tried F.I.Calc, which did Monte Carlo simulations. That was pretty good. That was a free resource that I highly recommend. I'll put a URL. I'll put the video for you. But basically, it's FICalc.app. And I plan to start New Retirement this month. My goal for this year is to use New Retirement, so I'll have a very comprehensive retirement plan and not a seat of the pants, hey, I could just take my 5% plan. So that's financial planning in a nutshell. That's a very, very simplistic version of it. But man, step one, have a plan. And it doesn't have to be a perfect plan. You can change it. So let's talk about executing your plan, right? I froze and I just couldn't start my retirement in my mind because I was petrified in spending any money. I didn't know how much money I could spend, right? And so that's why you need to plan before you execute. You need to know how much can you spend, what are your expenses expected to be, what are your contingencies for market corrections and things of that sort. So when you execute your plan, you need to know all those things before you go in. So when you execute, first of all, don't skip any of these steps. You need to save up a realistic amount of money. I already told you how to calculate that, but something in the ballpark of what you really need. I was a little short, but it worked. Create your basic financial plan, write it down, have it sitting there so you can reference it, and find your life purpose, or at least maybe visualize your dream retirement. If you have those three things nailed, when you go into retirement, it's going to be much better for you, right? And like we talked about earlier, hopefully you can choose your own retirement date, plan ahead of time, and not be thrust into retirement like me. And by the way, I'm not the only one. Like, a very high percentage of people get tripped up on retirement. They have a health problem. Like, I have a lot of friends who are disabled. They work construction. They just get to a certain age, and then it's hard to be like, I'm an old computer guy. Go try and get a job when you're nearing 60, and you're an IT guy. They want the 40-year-old guy that'll grind out 60 hours a week. And then sometimes people go in for financial conditions. Either they have hit their number and they're ready to go, or they need to just start taking their Social Security because they don't have any other option. So hopefully you can choose and plan and set up your own retirement without getting thrust into it. But be prepared that some of these things could happen to you. And once you go for it, just be confident, be decisive, make it happen, push go, and don't look back. Okay? So I'm going to finish this. By the way, we're getting close to wrapping it up. Thanks for hanging in there with me. I hope this helps you. I'm going to finish this just by summarizing my experience. And when we talk about my experience, obviously it's been all over the map. It's been up and down. But it's like any advice. You could take it or leave it. You could take little nuggets out, and you can avoid the stuff that doesn't, ignore the stuff that doesn't apply to you. But here's my experience, and since I've been through it, here's what I have for you. First of all, retirement's a process, right? it's messy and confusing. It changes. Laws change, things change, financial conditions change, the market changes. So don't freak out about it. It caused me to second guess myself a lot. Don't do that. When you set a solid plan and you go for it, you'll have to modify it, right? And so don't be really concerned about that. Don't be overly concerned that your plan handles every contingency. You're going to be able to pivot, right? You can adjust your plan, you can evolve, you can improve your plan. So don't be fearful of those things, and don't think your plan has to be perfect. The next thing is like there are big ramifications to small decisions. So you really have to pay attention to the details. Don't take shortcuts on stuff like finding health care, changing your investments or updating and managing your investments. Tax planning. Yeah, don't make mistakes tax planning. Social Security, when to take your Social Security and optimize it. Those are things that are big decisions, and you have to pay attention to them. Don't blow those things off. They could really cost you. And then let's get to the meat of this. The real art of retirement, right? That's the whole thing this whole video is about. The real art of retirement for me is in extracting maximum happiness from my retirement resources without running out. I know that sounds simple. It's really not. That's why it's an art and not a science. If it was simple math, I'd already have it dialed out. I'm good at math. But you don't know how long you have, right? You don't know how much money you have. Well, you know how much money you have, but you don't know how long you have left, and you don't know how your health is going to be impacted. So try and extract maximum happiness. You don't want to, live a really frugal life and then have a lot of money left in your bank account. But at the same time, you don't want to be old running out of money. So see if you can maximize that. And in my opinion, the best way to maximize it is to stay dynamic, watch what's happening, and adjust accordingly. Don't do one of these set and forget it type plans like, I'm going to take 4% with, automatic, adjustments for cost of living and inflation. Yeah, don't do that. Watch what's going on and manage it dynamically so you can maximize. You could just squeeze the most out of your retirement for yourself. Second thing is that, if your retirement plan doesn't allow you to dream the life the retirement you dreamed about, the life you want to live, man, see if you can figure out how to reach that goal. Budget for your dreams, Don't accept that you have to, stay home all the time and eat frugally and live frugally because, even if you haven't saved a ton of money, try and figure out ways to budget for your dreams. If you reach for your dreams, you can find them sometimes. And if you accept what you believe you're supposed to get, then that's what you're going to get. So that's a big thing in my life is that I've always reached high. I don't always make those goals, but I always get something more than average. So I'm really thrilled about that. So you should evolve your plan to suit your retirement. Don't let the tail wag the dog, right? You evolve your plan to suit your retirement, not the other way around. So that's the end of my advice. Off the soapbox. So thanks for staying with me through the whole video. I know it was a long one. It has a lot in it. I hope it was helpful for you. I hope it helps you out on your retirement journey. And just let me know if you have any questions or comments. I'm happy to answer anything that isn't specific tax, investment, or other financial advice that I'm not certified to handle. But simple questions, happy to help you out. Okay, we're done with the hike and back home, safe and sound. Dogs are beat. Had a good time. We went a little extra long. We took a little detour and went a couple extra miles up and down the West Ridge. So we were in it for about 4 or 5 miles, about 2.5 hours. It was a good time. Anyways, thanks for coming along. Hope you enjoyed it. I wish you all health, happiness, and prosperity in your lives. And I appreciate you as viewers. And we will see you next week on our next big adventure. All right. Thanks a bunch.